Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Facebook Live in the Exponentialize group, and we're also live on my personal profile. So, hi, everyone. If you would like more of this, you can join the Exponentialize group on Facebook, and we have a very special guest today, Mr. Liam Bramley. Thanks for being here, Liam.
Thanks, so. It's great to be here.
So, I asked Liam to come on because Liam is, definitely different. And one of the first things I wanted to ask you, Liam, was like, when did you know that you were different?
That's kind of like asking a fish, when did it realize it was a fish? It's never known anything apart from being in the water.
Right,
So
and then it couldn't climb a tree.
There was a point, yeah. But where I go is there's actually fish that do climb trees. They're called mud skippers. And that's
there
like,
you go. Of course you would know about that.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, I think, it wasn't like I realized I was different until it wasn't an immediate like aha moment. It was just slowly realizing like, okay, why is no one else seeing this? Why is everyone doing it this way? Why is everyone not getting it, basically? And I think the age was like around 14, 15. And it was always like I knew that I never had the thought process, like the cognitive thought, like, okay, I'm different. It was always like, oh, this person's like this, so I'll adjust for them. And it's been like that the whole time. But now it's just like, I don't have the energy or the time to adjust anymore. So I'm just getting weirder and weirder. But I'm not getting weirder. I'm weird. So it's just, I'm not acting different anymore. I'm just being myself.
Yeah, just being more of you. I like it. And I know your mum said, we were talking one time and, talking about like what it was like for her, like parenting an X-Men kid. And, she said there was a time for you at school that was like, a pretty tough time and everything. But like, what was it like from your perspective, like being different growing up and kind of like relating to the world? And
school was absolutely like exhausting. It was, it's like, when something's moving quick, like your day's moving quick and you have loads of energy and you're like, okay, bam, 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 I'm getting shit done.
Yeah.
And then those days that are really slow when you're just waiting on someone to come and pick you up and you're like, are they here yet? Like, when are they? No, they're going to be another 40 minutes. All right. And then it's like, okay, we're here now. We're just waiting. Like, we missed our booking. Now we've got to wait longer. Like, what are we doing? Those slow days you're not in control. You're not doing you're not creating your day. You're just following someone else. Imagine that every day. And imagine it like it's called school.
Yeah.
The teachers are like, right, today we're going to learn about this. And it's like, all right, do we have to? Like, do we get to vote? Like, and I remember speaking to the teachers being like, why are we learning this? Why aren't we learning this? They go, oh, it's part of the school curriculum. And I'm like, well, okay, but when are we learning? Because there was a point as well where I realized it's not like your intelligence based on, or how well you're doing based on school is your ability to remember.
Yeah.
And it's literally, I was in a test and I realized that the kids who can remember the information that the teacher was babbling on about and recall that are the kids who are going to do really well in this test. Like, thinking this in the test, I'm like, wow, I don't remember what they said. I know that they said it, but I don't know what they said about it.
Yeah.
And once I realized we were being judged based on that, I was like, fuck this, I'm done. And I left school.
Right. Wow.
Then I learned more in 3 months than I did in entirety of school.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, and I'm sure for a lot of other X-Men that, like school was not enough, like it wasn't challenging enough, it didn't broaden your horizons enough, it didn't offer enough of like the kind of hands-on sort of like learning experience where you
Yeah.
actually get to apply it to your life.
It's
And
got nothing to do with you. It's about getting you to do what fits for the world. It's not about
right.
getting the world to fit to you and how to create that.
Yeah. And it's funny actually as well that you say that, because it's like some X-Men also have this like amazing capacity to remember information and
Mm.
retain it and then be able to like regurgitate it basically. And so it actually works in some X-Men's favors, but like I'd say I'm a little bit more like you. I can't really learn something properly unless I like get my hands in
Unless
there,
you're
or
interested in it.
yeah, or I can actually like apply it in some way that it's like I can make it relevant, to my life. Otherwise, I'm just like, this is useless information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I can remember how many lines that the artist had drawn on the wallpaper in our bathroom downstairs when I was 3, 4 years old.
Wow.
But I can't remember like what the fuck pi is and what it's used for and how to use it. Like, why am I going to use that? I'm not a rocket scientist. There's no reason to learn what. See, I don't even know what it's called. Whatever the complex name for quantum algebra or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
So
So
it's like if you're not interested in it, you can't engage with it. It doesn't
yeah,
speak to you, and that's the stuff that you forget. But I remember very weird, specific things.
I like that. I don't know if you've seen the movie Temple Grandin, but
Yeah,
in that movie, like she also is really encouraged to pursue what she's interested in, and it's like she develops these talents and skills and abilities like in those areas. And I think that's one of the most brilliant things from that
yeah,
movie is, that willingness with X-Men to actually like see where they have these capacity and these abilities, and like nudge them in that direction and give them something that's actually a task they can get their teeth into, because
yeah.
otherwise they're just going to get bored like instantaneously.
Absolutely. And the whole thing of school as well is the reason school was okay. So you've got to realize there's a big difference between when people were being educated and having like getting an education. Like back in the day, you used to have a tutor who would come to your house and actually, when I say back in the day, I'm talking about like the like medieval, not medieval times, but like around Louis the 16th and all that sort of stuff. Like you'd have scholars and you'd have it was actually monks a lot of the time, but you'd have people come and give you an education. And education was anything from sword fighting to learning astronomy, right?
That sounds way more fun.
And it was for you. It was one on one for you. Like, and education is actually what it's called. It's education.
Hmm.
School is like the term "I'm getting schooled."
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a fun thing.
No.
So it's someone ramming information at you that has nothing to do with you to get you trained into a world. And the reason this came about is uh, the whole school system, based on how it is, it's a factory system. So you take random people, you put them through processing, you test them to see if they are able to go onto the factory line, and if not, you put them back and reprocess them and recondition them. So getting put back into the previous year in school because you didn't pass your tests. It's literally, that's exactly what it is for. If you want to read more about it, there's a really good book by Seth Godin called. Uh, Let me look it up and I'll tell you exactly what it's called.
Yeah,
But
for
he's
sure.
talking about the school system, where the origins of that came from.
I'm gonna
The
write it down.
title's
It
like
sounds
Stop.
good.
Yeah, so there's a
um
TEDx by Seth Godin, What is School For? If you just
Headaches.
type in, yeah, just type in What is School For Seth Godin and watch that.
Yeah, cool.
And he's an absolute X-Men as well. he knows he's different, and he claims it and owns it. It's really cool.
Awesome. So you spoke about, like, you know, going through this schooling system and then getting to a point where you were like, all right, this no longer works for me. I'm out of here. And then it's like, what was it like going into the world in a different way as like the difference that you are, you know, like being that difference and being you in the world? What was that like?
In terms of like social and interaction and all that sort of stuff, it was pretty much like non-existent. It just got cut off because it was mainly like reading books and watching documentaries and learning about specific stuff. So it wasn't really out and about like, okay, I'm going to go explore the world now. It was, what I've been learning sucks. I'm going to learn what I want. And I just all like maxed out my ability with, not ability, like capacity in libraries. So I'd sign up for a library and just take all the books that I can, maximum capacity, and then I'd smash through them, put them back, and then take new ones out. And did that for years and years and years. Just every day, all day, just soaking it up. And I even read books on how to soak it up quicker. So before I was soaking it up and stuff. But it, in terms of that, it's like that really, it did two things. It allowed me the time to figure out what I'm actually interested in, instead of what, because it was kind of like, okay, maths, science, geography, English, maths, science, geography, English, science, maths, like just over and over and over again. I was like, okay, this is what exists in the world. And then I was like, oh, hang on. There's computer coding. There's growing vegetables. There's farming. There's all this stuff that I never considered. There's engineering. There's everything that's out there, and none of that gets taught in school. And it's kind of weird because it's like you get taught absolutely nothing in school, and then you pick what you want to learn about, and you miss everything else. You go to college and you learn specifically all about that. You learn nothing you should learn, and then you learn one very specific thing that cuts off everything else, and it's like, that's not really a great education. So coming out of that track where it's like none of this is of interest to me, to go in absolutely into this is the only thing of interest to me, and it was changing all the time. It was like, okay, that's cool, now I've discovered this, I'm going to go look at this, now I'm going to look at that. And coming into that really gave me one, like, enthusiasm about, like, okay, the world is a cool place. It's not just math, science, English, history, French, and like geography. It's whatever I want to create. And the other thing it gave me was realizing that I'm not actually stupid, because I was getting C's, D's, F's, E's. I had one paper in English that I handed in 7 times. And no matter what she said, I couldn't like quite grasp, like, yeah, but you said we have to do this, and I've done that. Like, I don't understand. I've done what you said on the sheet that we're supposed to do. And she's like, no, you have to do it this way, and you have to talk about it from this point. And I'm like, I can't. She just gave up. So that was school as well. Just nothing worked.
Yeah. And I know that you've done like lots of different things. Like you were really into boxing at one stage. You did some like fixing up cars and selling cars, and it's like, so like what kind of things did you find with this, you know, kind of like self-led like education and learning? Like what did you start to step into and use your like capacities with?
There's, how long have we got? I don't even know where to start, to be honest.
Just give us a few of your favorite ones, maybe.
Well, it was just everything all at once, to be honest. It was like anything that was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, all it needed was, okay, this is kind of cool. It wasn't like, I've decided to do this and I will commit to this. That's my life. It was like, that's kind of cool. Like, I want to, like, that seems cool. That's all it needs. And I'm straight in. And I'll know everything about it in like 12 hours later, or however dense the subject is. But it was like that with everything. It was like I started off with, well, it was around about the same time that I moved to Australia from where I was in school. I left school in that time in Jersey. Then I moved to Australia, and I didn't go to school in Australia, and that's when I started learning about stuff. Got into, I got a motorbike, took every single piece of it apart, and like I was like, okay, that comes out of that this way, this goes here in between these two bits, and just laid it all out, stared at it for like 4 hours, and I was like, okay, I know how bikes work. I know exactly how they work. And then I put it all back together, and it kicked it up first time, and it started. So I was like, okay, I can do mechanics now. Do I really want to be a mechanic? No. Okay, next. And it was like, all right, next thing. Okay, let's learn about, what was it next? Financial markets. Started dabbling in financial markets. Went on a course, did another course. Now I pretty much know everything there is to know about it. I've read, like, I think it was 1,200, 1,300 books on it.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, this is kind of boring. I'm going to do something else now. Then I did something else. And then it's just, yeah. The latest thing that I'm into now is I've been building racing drones.
Yes, I remember
fun.
talking to you about drones, and you were like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like make this kind of drone. I was like, what do you mean you're gonna like, what do you mean you're gonna make it? You mean you're gonna like put the wings on and stuff? And you're like, no, I'm gonna build it from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah, building drones was really fun. I always throw myself into the deep end of everything and just learn as I go, because I know I have that capacity. It's like whatever I look at, it's like it's like I don't know how to explain this, but it's like you look at something and you can see how it was constructed. I can see like the mold of the machine. I can see like inside. It's like X-ray vision. I can see like ball joints inside of things, and I can see how this interacts with this through this gear, and how that gear is shifted into this click position, and it's like it all just. But I got that from taking apart the motorbike, and then it just evolved and evolved and evolved, and it happens now with everything basically.
Yeah.
But it's just I'd never have that. I probably would actually. I'd probably eventually have it, but it got a lot quicker and it got a lot more prominent from being able to learn what I wanted to learn about instead of just science, math, geography, French.
Yeah. Well, as you're talking about that, like having that awareness of, how something works, like the spherical awareness, which is something that X-Men function from, and also like having no separation between the past, the present, and the future. And it's like these are all these X-Men capacities. But one thing that I really love that I'm getting from like having this conversation with you is just that willingness to like kind of like back yourself and dive in and like really like get involved with something, research it, find out everything that you can. And it's like we have such an ability to do this as X-Men, and I think we probably don't do it enough. Like, I think a lot of us as well, like the what do you call it, like the structure or something of having sort of. But what I love about the way that you've approached things is just whatever you're interested in, you're going to go for it and dive right in and find out all about it.
And on the, just remember something as well for people who don't know, I think it was around about from 7 to 11, I got diagnosed with dyspraxia, dyscalculia, dysmorphia, ADHD, OCD, and autism.
Quite the package.
Yep. And it was at a certain point where, like, because I grew up in I grew up in Jersey, where it's like a tiny, tiny island as well. It's like 5 miles long and 9 miles wide.
Is
So
this
it was like
Scotland?
it's in the Channel Islands, so it's in between France and the south of England.
Okay.
Speak English there, but it was just like was not good. It was like the school system, like tiny villages, like tiny towns. How everything's just like weird and the air's thick and everyone's looking at you like you're an alien. Imagine that like amplified. So it was like that as well. And school was just not a comfortable place at all. But going into like it was like no one was there to hold my hand, or no one, not in like I needed it, but no one was there to hold my hand or guide me or tell me I should be doing it a certain way. So it was literally like this infinite white canvas of like, okay, I get to pick how I want to do it, what I want to do, how I want to learn it, and when I want to learn it, and the way I want to learn it as well. So it was this infinite choice, and I think that was probably the best thing for me at that time, is having no one saying this is the way you should do it. Because if you got no reference points, you'll figure it out.
Right. And
you'll keep choosing until you get it. And so many of us in life look at reference points. It's like, okay, I don't know how to be with this person. How do other people be with people like this? Okay, I'll be like that. And the biggest thing we get it from is Hollywood.
Is what?
Hollywood movies.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like it's like I remember one of my brother's girlfriends, her only reference point for arguments and fights was like Hollywood movies, rom-coms and all this shit. So it was like, oh my god, this is like what I was like, that's why. And people never go, it's like people go into situations and they go, oh, this is what I've seen, so this is what I'll be, because this is right and that's wrong. And it's like I had none of that. I was just like, well, this is weird. What do I want to do?
Yeah.
There's no one else doing it. No one else is interested. And this is a time when everyone, like, Noosa and Australia, like everyone loves going out to clubs and surf clubs and getting mangled and all this stuff. And it was like everyone around me was doing that. And I'm like, why? You just feel like you're dying the next day and you need water and like, what the hell? I can't think properly after. It's like, why do you want to do that? But it was that time where I allowed myself just to go wherever I wanted to go, whatever I wanted to do with no restrictions. And it was just, it was like amazing. And it wasn't anything special. It was just it was like, what do I want to do? Okay, I'm going to do it. And none of us really allow ourselves to do that.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to, I think, a little bit about what you were saying at the beginning as well, of like where you would, see something and you would go like, why don't these people get it? But it's almost like the flip side of that. It's like there are some things where, socially, for example, you might be like, okay, I have no idea what to be in this situation. But you can look at a motorbike and be like, all right, I know exactly what needs to change there in order for this to work properly, and no one else gets it. So it's like, it's these sort of like different areas that we have of functioning that, it's, I don't know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, and as an X-Man as well, you always go, okay, I can do all this, but that's worthless. Like, I can't talk to someone in an elevator without sounding like an idiot. Like, that's what I need to be, And it's like,
I totally get that.
I can build a motorbike from scratch. I can solder like a drone together, but I can't talk to someone in an elevator. I'm shit. Like, what am I doing? And you just go straight to judgment.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. And it's like, that is probably still one of the things that I judge myself for the most, is like not being able to like, communicate and interact and engage with people in a way that like seems to create more. But at the same time, like when it does occur, or when you are in that circumstance, like quite often I get bored very quickly.
Yeah. You want to be good at something that nobody values apart from you. Because you can't do it because you can't slow yourself down enough to do it.
Yeah, I think we might be, cute, but not very bright.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so fast forward sort of a little bit like to now, and it's like, how would you say you use your like capacities in your life now as opposed to kind of like what you did when you were growing up and sort of discovering what it is that you're interested in, and like, has it changed or?
It's evolved. So it's like, just quickly before I answer that, it's like,
Yeah.
one of the things that I did realize recently, very, very recently, like in 2020, is that I somehow have the point of view that you can do anything. And it's weird for me because it's like, I see it and it's like, yeah, you can do anything, just do it. But other people are like, that's not normal. I'm like, no, it totally is. What are you talking about? And I realized after that, and I was like, I still don't understand why they can't see that you can do anything, because it's like, okay, I want to know how to do this. All right, learn how to do it. Do it. That's it. And that's not a normal thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, it's like, okay, that is the underlying foundation of like everything that I do. It's like, okay, I don't know how to do that, but I can do it because I know how to learn and I know how to do that. And then I'll know how to do that. So it's like,
And
there's nothing that's out of bounds, or there's nothing that's too scary. There's nothing that's like too much, too hard. There's no too hard. There's no too much. There's no too difficult. There's no, like, it's all just, like eating a banana is the same as learning like astrophysics.
Well, and I think the thing that's so different about that, like with the way that you approach it, is like you've created this place where you've given yourself an education and you've taught yourself how to learn, which is kind of like these foundational things that you can use to create like anything that you desire in your life.
I think I just realized from you saying it in your own words, it's like I taught myself how to teach myself.
Yeah. That's so cool.
And I think that's the biggest thing. So it's like, I just realized now from you talking, I'm getting awareness on it. It's like, school is like, okay, I've been educated, so I know. And I'm like, I don't know this, but I know that I can know it. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, that's the infinite being, like having access to all of it.
I think the other people don't know that they can know it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many people have also been folded, stapled, and mutilated themselves to actually fit the schooling system and everything, and thereby they don't really actually know what it is to, like learn from what they know.
Yeah, school doesn't teach you how to learn; it teaches you how to remember, and that's what the day I recognized that is the day I left school. I literally got up and walked home, and I was like, "Look, I'm not doing this." And then we moved to Australia. But sorry, the other question: how is that working today? So it's like, it's been an evolving thing where it's like, okay, I can do anything. But it's interesting if you look at I can do anything from the viewpoint of I don't believe I can. It's like this concept, but for me, it's like I don't have the concept as a reference point to look at I can do anything as a possibility. It's like it just is. It's like, so that has been the platform for everything to evolve on. So whatever comes up, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'm going to learn about this. But so fast forward today and what's going on today, it's like anything that comes up that I'm like, it's like, okay, what do I know about? What don't I know about? What can I learn about? Okay, whatever, just blah, 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 go on with life, do dishes, do whatever. And it's like something will come up and you'll be like, ah, that's really interesting. And the other thing is, as well as I've got associative I've got associative thinking, which is like, I don't know the other thing. What is it? Logical thinking. I don't have logical thinking. That was quite.
I love it.
I don't know what it is. Logical thinking. So it's like,
you've got the other side of your brain is outside of your body.
Well, this is the funny thing, right? So when I was 7, I got like a brain scan, and there was like, they measured brain activity basically, and the logical side of my brain was completely dormant. And the doctors were like, I've never seen that before. Like, we've never seen this in our entirety of our practice. And I did all this brain training where it's like left arm, left leg, right arm, right leg to try and like cross the brains over, the sides of the brain over to like connect them back up. I've got a full brain now, but for the first like whatever of my life, it was just creative thinking, which I found out about like a year ago. I never got told it until now. Wow. I just thought it was funny to throw that in there.
Yeah, totally.
So half a brain isn't too bad a thing.
And one of the great things, like, I love in the X-Men like classes, one of the things that says in the manual is like, you cannot use logic to appeal to X-Men. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So with the logical thinking, I think how it works is this. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know how logical thinking works. I'm trying to come up with an example for a difference to what I don't know how logical thinking works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could give the example of like, know, most people would try to go, from A all the way through to Z. But if you're like an X-Men and you have these different capacities, it might be a little bit more like going in a million different directions all at once, and then, coming to some awareness or some idea, but like not from the place of this step, this step, this step, and this step, like all the steps at once, basically.
Yeah. So how it works for me with that is Chloe calls it associative thinking, where everything's like interlocked arms basically, or it's like a web, like a spider web.
Yeah.
But it goes weird places. So if I take something like a sticky note, right?
Yeah.
So it's paper. Now I'm thinking about trees. Now I'm thinking about farming. Now I'm thinking about vegetables. Now I'm thinking about macronutrients within soil. Now I'm thinking about tractors. Now I'm thinking about engines. Now I'm thinking about how there's got to be a better way to create a tire for a car. Now I'm thinking about how much energy loss there is on the tires hitting the road. And we started with a paper note. And all that happens in about 0.013 seconds. And it never turns off.
Yeah.
It never turns off. But it's like, sometimes it's not fun when it's negative stuff, because it's really shit. Because you can't get out of it. But when it's positive stuff, it's or not positive, just whatever stuff, like creating stuff, like, okay, I'm going to learn about this, I'm going to learn about that. Everything is just there. I can't keep up with my own brain, like, if that makes sense. It's like, or I can't keep up with my awareness.
I love that.
Yeah. And I just like frolic about in it, I guess. Like, if you're looking for like, so I just frolic about in it all day. Like, I'm like, like just thinking and looking at stuff like, oh, that's interesting. Like, oh, okay, that's over there. Squirrel, like all the time. But somehow, whatever I'm asking for in the background enters in the stream somewhere, and then it just gets created.
Yeah.
Well, and if you're looking for like actual like creations and stuff, it's like something will show up, which will lead to something else, which will lead to something else, which will lead to something else, which I'm now in, and I'm just like, how the hell did I get here? But I'm not even asking that. I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Where else? I wonder where we're going next. And it's just like the whole thing is just all that all the time.
Yeah, and that so matches
plan, nothing.
Yeah, well, but it matches the energy as well of the quantum entanglements of the universe.
Exactly,
like it's so random, but it leads you to something that has, you know, no like logical or linear link to something else, but somehow you get there and there's a different possibility available.
Yeah. And being like that as well, it's like float, like being like a piece of flotsam and jetsam in the wind, or whatever the phrase is, like just being a tumbleweed is like the best way to be as an X-Man. It's like people go, what's your plan for your career? I don't fucking know. What career? I'm not doing a career. Like, I'm not sticking to the same thing over and over. So anyone who ever says, like, what's your plans? Where do you want to be in 5 years? I don't fucking know. Like, anyone who ever says that is like, that's not you. Just do whatever you want, and you'll get to where you want to go. You'll get to where you want to be because you'll choose it. And just trust that, and don't listen to the rest of the idiots.
I like it. I mean, I think, you know, anything that X-Men tries to make solid and real usually doesn't work out that way very well for them anyway. No. So it just might not be your reality. So, Liam, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we've already been talking for 35 minutes or more. So
I can go forever.
I know. Well, I'd love to have you on again, and I think for now this is great. But I'd love to talk to you again. There's always great, you know, things to chat about, and I really
feel
enjoy
like we're
the
just
conversations.
Scratching the surface.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, thank you everyone for watching, and thanks for coming on, and let's do it again soon.
Yeah. See you guys on the next one.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.